Okay, here we are on 2015, question number 2. Let f and gx be these two functions, and let r and s be the two regions enclosed by the graphs at the top. So first thing I would do again is I would put in my calculator. I would make this y sub 1, and make this y sub 2 in your calculator, because this is a calculator problem. And part A says find the sum of the areas of the regions. So hopefully we know that the sum of the area of the regions is the integral of top minus the integral from left to right of top minus bottom. So if you look at this, we need to find out the intersections. We're going to find the intersection right here. So you're going to graph y1 and y2 in your calculator, and you're going to stick that in and do calc trace, which is calculate, or second trace, which is calculate, and you're going to find the intersection there in the middle. So when you type that in, you're going to get that the intersection, and I would write this on my problem that A, B is going to equal. Now when you find that intersection in there, you're going to get 1.0. So this point right here is 1.032832. Again, my pen doesn't write very well, I'm sorry. And the y value is 2.401108. And then you're going to want to do the store button. So store the A value, this X value for this is your AB right here. That right there is your AB. You're going to store A for that. And then your B value, you would store this Y value right there. I'm not even sure we're going to need that, but that's where you're going to start. Then after that, it says find the area. So if you look, the top, this function is your g of x function. And then this function down here is your f. The one that starts below is the f of x function. So you want to get the area of this. So when you do the area of this, and remember, I'm storing A, that big decimal on the top, B, the decimal on the bottom. I'm going to erase this. So when you get the area of this, you're going to have the integral. And if you look here, you're starting with the x value of 0, and then you're going to go to that A value that we just stored in there. And then you're going to put the g function, which is your y2 minus y1, because that's on the bottom here, that we're getting this area right there, dx, and then plus, we're going to do the integral from A to 2, and again, this thing right there is a 2, because that's a 2 there for the x value. And the thing that switched right there was now the f of x is on top. So we would put y1 minus y2 dx. And you're going to hit equals on your calculator. And that's going to end up rounding to 2.004. And that's going to be the answer to the first one. Now you're going to get 1 point for finding this ordered pair that we found first. That gives you 1 point. You get a second point for writing this stuff down about the integrals. Now you probably, when you write down this part about the integrals, we should use g of x in the formula, because unless you tell the person that what y sub 1 and f sub 1 is, what I wrote down was what you plug into your calculator. And then down here, this would be f of x minus g of x. You'd write that down instead of the y's. unless you told the person that y sub 2 equal g of x and y sub 1 equal f of x. But in your calculator, you're going to use the y's. So that's part A, worth 4 points. You get 1 point also for having that answer right there, that 2.004. So that's part A. Going on to part B. It says region S is the base of a cross section that is perpendicular to the x-axis. So I hope you remember that means dx. And we have squares, and I hope you remember the area of a square is side squared. So find the volume. So we're going to do, again, this is going to be our, and we're doing the part for S, so we're only worried about this part. So that right there is the side. So again, the side is top minus bottom, which in this case is f of x minus g of x, because it's top minus bottom, which again is, in this case, is y1 minus y2. So that right there is your side. So when you get the volume of your squares, you're going to do the volume from A, because remember that x value there was an A. And you're going to go to 2, because this volume, this is the x value there. And then you're going to take your y1 minus y sub 2. This is what you type in your calculator. You'll use this stuff, this in the box, if you want to show the person the formula you're using, and you're going to square that because we're doing the area squared dx. Now, when you type that thing I just wrote down there from A to 2 of y1 minus y2 squared dx, that's going to give you your answer. So when you do that and you round to 3 decimal places, that's going to be 1.283 is the volume of all the squares going from left to right across that thing. So that's the answer for part B. That's worth 3 points. One, that you write this integral thing down. That's one of them, but you want to plug in the f of x and g of x, unless, again, you've told the person that y1 is f of x, y2 is g of x. And then you get the third point for having your answer, just 1.283. Okay, and then we got one problem left, not part C. It says let h be the vertical distance between the graph of f and g and region S. So again, we're only worried about region S from here to here. And it says the vertical difference, the vertical distance. So again, that's going to be top minus bottom. So h of x, you're going to write this on the problem, is going to be the top, which is f of x minus g of x. And that's a terrible G, I'm sorry. So that right there is going to get you a point for telling them you know that. Okay, and then it says, find a rate at which h is changing with respect to x at x equals 1.8. So find a rate. The rate is a key word there. I hope you all know that means derivative. So we're going to do the derivative, which is going to be the equal to the derivative of the f of x derivative, the derivative of f of x, oops, minus, not equals, the derivative of g of x. So then it wants that value, so you're going to plug in h prime at 1.8 is going to equal f prime of 1.8 minus g prime of 1.8. Okay, now the way you're going to do that is you're going to take on your calculator, you're going to hit math, 1.8. You're going to hit bars, Y bars, and then you're going to plug in there 1.8. And you're going to plug in that X equals that 1.8 at the bottom. And that right there would be your first value, this value, and then the minus, and then you do the Y2. You could do it all in one time and put into parentheses Y1 minus Y2. It'd be better if you put the whole thing in there at once in the parentheses. Y1 minus Y2, and then your X equals 1.8. And that will give you your answer right away, which comes out to be negative 3.812 when you round. So the answer is negative 3.812 is what you should get on your calculator. That's in problem 2, and I'm going to get this uploaded and send it out to you soon. Bye.